Hello and welcome back to Pop Culture Graveyard. I am Hollis and I am introducing a new feature today called My Most Played. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. I'll be talking about the artists, albums, and songs that I've had on heavy rotation this month. Just a little hint, if I had to sum it up in a word, that word might be emo. But don't think that that's just one flavor. There are many styles under the emo banner. Spoiler alert, I don't have any of these artists on vinyl. That is, not yet. I'll be bringing you a heaping helping of old and new favorites. And yes, I will be putting links below to the music I'm talking about, so check that out. So please join me for Lil Peep, Wicca Phase, Springs Eternal, Personplacething, Pay for Pain, and a whole lot more. Gotta get these guys on vinyl. Before we get rolling, I just want to thank my latest Gravedigger. Thank you, John. I'm very glad that you decided to become a patron, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you, Mr. Levinson. If you're enjoying the content I'm bringing you, please consider joining my Patreon. It's at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard. And thanks. First of all, for some reason, this month has been all about Lil Peep for me. If you don't know Peep, he died at the age of 21, about 4 years ago now. And it is a massive loss. For lack of a better term, he created a sort of emo hip-hop vibe, which is simultaneously gritty and real, and playful and whimsical. One of the most exciting cloud rap artists. Peep really excelled in this hybrid art form and perfectly paired compelling lyrics and outrageously tasty beats. And what's more impressive is, for the most part, his music is devoid of the toxic masculinity that keeps most women at arm's length in this entire genre. The structure of the songs themselves is unique. Peep's songs don't so much end as they do go away. Ironic for an artist whose life was cut short. Anyway, I was listening to so much Lil Peep this past month. If you're unfamiliar with Lil Peep, and judging by my channel's demographic, a lot of you probably are unfamiliar with Lil Peep. Check out the songs Haunt You, Star Shopping, Beat It, and my all-time fave, Absolute in Doubt, which is a collaboration with one of my favorite artists, Wicca Phase, Springs Eternal. I'm getting ahead of myself. I got into Lil Peep through Adam AKA, who was in Tiger's Jaw. Yes, Tiger's Jaw. Anyone who watches this channel on a regular basis knows that I love Tiger's Jaw. And my guy in Tiger's Jaw was Adam. When Adam left Tiger's Jaw to do his own thing, he created this project / alter ego called Wicca Phase Springs Eternal. Anyway, it's basically Adam AKA's voice over hip-hop and trap beats. I don't know what you'd call it. Emo step? Cloud emo? Goth hop? Hip goth? We're circling it. It's somewhere in there. Anyway, I love Wicca. I adore his album, Suffer On, which was released in February of 2019. Just one of many, many albums that I got robbed of with everything that happened during the pandemic. And it kind of slipped by me. That's going to be sort of a theme of the bands in this episode. Anyway, this album is brilliant. I love the fact that when he left Tiger's Jaw, he did his own thing. It would have been very, very easy to do the same thing over and over, especially when you're a successful artist. But he is carving out a really unique career for himself. I see the way he's developing, and it's sort of the same fuck you attitude that Jonathan Richman had and that Leonard Cohen had. Don't at me. He's flying his own flag and following his muse, and he's making really interesting music. Anyway, the album, Suffer On, is great. Check out the songs Rest, Just One Thing, Contact, and Crushed. Each one is a brilliant slice of what Adam does best. Before hopping from Adam, I just want to talk about Pay for Pain. Pay for Pain is not only Adam on lead vocals, but it's also Dennis and Pat from the original Tiger's Jaw, with him again on bass and drums. Anyway, it's a very fun indie rock band along the same lines as Tiger's Jaw. And I'm going to put 2 links below to the song You Take Command of My Heart. One is the official video, and one is Adam playing the song acoustic, which really breaks down the song nicely. Anyway, through Wicca Phase, I got into Lil Peep because of the song Absolute in Doubt, which, I mean, you talk about heavy rotation. I don't know when I'm going to stop listening to that song. It's great in its original form. is great in any of its live versions. So my current favorite Lil Peep songs, which change from week to week, the mark of a truly great artist, are Haunt You, Beat It, Star Shopping, and of course the aforementioned Absolute in Doubt. My wife mentioned that Absolute in Doubt reminded her of that song Someone That I Used to Know by Gautier. And it's kind of true, not in content, but just in the fact that it doesn't sound like any other song. There are snippets of the song that are reminiscent of other things you might have heard, but the song itself is so unique. Once you hear it, you can't imagine that it never existed. Some less popular songs that I love by Peep include Glassy, which is a great slow jam, and the song 19, which has such a deep groove. And it even samples the song Broke by Modest Mouse, which should tell you a little something about how all over the map Peep's influences were. People are always talking about the horrible losses of people like Kurt Cobain or Bradley from Sublime, and they were big losses. But to put Lil Peep's loss into perspective, Kurt died at 27. Nirvana had supposedly about 102 songs. Lil Peep died at 21. Besides demos and alternative versions, Peep had roughly 354 songs. I say that simply to let you know just how much this young man accomplished in his short life. I find that inspiring. Even the things that wound up on the cutting room floor were amazing. On the Highway, an unfinished snippet that didn't have time to be made into a real song. Already amazing. I feel Lil Peep, a couple of years from now, was going to drop an album that everyone was going to love, no matter what genre you listen to. I really feel he was on the verge of next level success. I usually talk about bands like the Psychedelic Furs and Bowie and the Smiths. I grew up on hip hop before I ever got into any kind of rock music. I was a Run DMC kid. My period was the golden age of hip-hop. So trust me when I tell you, this guy had the goods. He had the talent, he had the looks, he had youth, he had underground street cred. He was the total package. Don't do drugs, kids. You know, when Tupac died, he was 25. When Biggie died, he was 24. Think about how young 21 is. Anyone who loves music was robbed. You know, the saddest part of losing an artist that young, people always say the same thing. We didn't see the signs. Motherfucker had Exit Life tattooed on his back. Half his songs are about suicide. Listen to the song and watch the video for the track Life is Beautiful. You would have to really have your head in the sand not to see that this kid was on his way out. We're lucky he lived as long as he did. And if I can just get 2 or 3 people who watch my show on a regular basis to get into Lil Peep, this entire episode will be well worth it. Rest in peace, Peep. Rest in Peep? Another artist I have on very heavy rotation, Personplacething. One word. Their album has the self-effacing title, Some Things Are Better Left Unheard. And this album was literally only released a couple of days ago. And I have had it in heavy rotation, and I can tell it's going to be in rotation for weeks. Check out the songs Getting Lost in the Dollar General and Sunblocked. 2 of my favorites. This band is from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and is supposedly one guy named Gabe who does everything that you hear on the album. And this album pushes the same buttons as all the best Midwest emo from 10 to 15 years ago. This album is absolutely fantastic, but I'm also going to put a link below to a song you definitely have to check out. It's a cover song of the track Pain by Cemetery and Ghost Mountain. It's a great cloud rap song, but this version is called Pain by Cemetery, but it's Midwest emo. This cover is so fun, funny, and more real than the original. When I first heard the original and saw the video for it, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, man, you ain't gonna shoot nobody. Looking like a supermodel lumberjack. I'll put a link to the original video, but the cover by Personplacething amps up all the fun of the original, which just makes the faux gangsta braggadocio charming. It has a great emo vibe to it, very similar to Midwest Pen Pals, if you like them, and who doesn't like them. As is usual for me, when I listen to new great emo, it always sends me back listening to older emo, such as the 2014 album Home, Like No Place Is There by The Hotelier. A quick shout out to my good friend Lily, fellow music critic, who is much younger than me, and she has turned me on to a lot of great stuff, and this is no different. Listen, we all miss great bands simply because life is very busy. But what I love about music is that you could not know that an artist exists on Tuesday. You could get turned on to that artist on Wednesday, and by Thursday, you won't be able to ever envision living another day without their music. As for my jams on this album, the scope of all this rebuilding and your deep rest are my choices to get you into this album. This band is rainy day music. It'll build you up, it'll break you down, and on certain days, it will seem like your only friend in the world. What more do you want out of an album? For the rest of this week's episode, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard, or click above for more free content.